through 37. And these are appointments, canvass of elections, donations, tax abatements, market ranges, settlement resolution of property tax cases, and claims. Is there a motion?
So moved to approve the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. We'll now move to A1, and I understand, Madam Clerk, we have speakers on this issue. What I'd like to do, I see our county recorder here as well. I'd like to hear from these two individuals first, if that's okay, Ms. Purcell, and then if you and Ms. Osborne are available for a few questions, we would sure appreciate that. There's been a lot of questions regarding this. So with that, I would ask Ms. Lisa James to come forward to the podium. Welcome, Lisa. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm here today to urge the supervisors to postpone their vote on this matter because the method that it was sent to the county was violation of the Maricopa County and District 30 bylaws. These are new precinct committeemen that are being asked to be confirmed by you all, which violate several methods of bylaws, both in the District 30, where the majority of these come from, and also the county bylaws. I have a letter from LD 30 Chairman Gary Hirsch that says that states the same thing, which has been sent to your office, but I can also read it if you would like, and also have the statute that this pertains to, as well as the bylaw violations. It's both a violation in that the district chairman was not consulted, which is required by bylaws. In addition, the bylaws state that no appointments will be made until after the state meeting, which is not until January 24th.
Are there any questions for Ms. James?
You know, not for Ms. James at this time, but I will have a question for legal counsel or Helen, whoever feels best able to answer. Are there other speakers?
There is another speaker. Before we go there, Lisa, can you restate what you talked about, what you just mentioned regarding the date of was it this Saturday? What?
The bylaws actually state that there will be no appointments until after the state organizational meeting, which takes place on January 24th. The county meeting is this January 20th, or excuse me, January 10th.
So you're speaking to the state meeting, not this Saturday's meeting.
Well, it actually states both organizational meetings.
Okay. We'll probably have you come back up, but we just at least wanted to hear what you had to say first. So
I appreciate that. I would just respectfully urge you all to either postpone this matter until after the 24th so that the due process of the bylaws can be followed for this.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. And our next speaker on this item is Kim Owens. Ms. Owens, if you could come forward, please.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here before you, and congratulations again. And congratulations to my supervisor, Mr. Hickman. In addition to violating the bylaws, this is a violation of statute. The opportunity for the Board of Supervisors to act in this manner is statutorily given, and the statutes say that that's in consideration and in complete adherence to the bylaws. So the statutory ability for the Board of Supervisors to act in this way is given in conjunction with the bylaws. And in 16-821, it specifically says that the Board of Supervisors, upon recommendation of the county chairman or the recommendation of a committee designated in the bylaws of the county committee for that purpose, shall determine when a vacancy exists in the office of precinct committeeman. But prior to that, and I'm going to find it because I forgot where it was at, it does say that it's in consideration of the bylaws. So without reading the entire statute, it's quite lengthy. Again, the statute 16-821 offers the opportunity to the Board of Supervisors to fill vacancies when that request comes to you in accordance with the bylaws. The bylaws have been violated. The bylaws strictly state, and I will remind you that annually the bylaws are up for review and can be changed. And this has never been changed, despite annual opportunities. And as a former secretary of the MCRC, I can tell you that the majority of precinct committeemen within the Republican Party adamantly believe that the appointment of PCs should take place within the precincts and within the districts, and abhor this top-down notion that somebody can then just submit something to the county supervisors without the approval of the districts, and that's what's happened here. So again, I'll conclude with any action on your part today to approve these would be in violation of statute as it's in violation of the bylaws. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I don't. I think to those points,
Thank you.
Kim, we might have you come back up if that's okay.
Sure.
As well. If there's a gentleman that would like to speak, have you filled out a slip, sir? If not, we can get you one from the clerk. If you want to state your name and just start, you could fill the form out after.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman and Board. My name is Timothy Schwartz. I was the chairman of LD 30 up until December 6, 2014.
Sir, you can
Sure, you can fill that out after, Mr. Schwartz.
You can just.
You're more than welcome to fill that out after. Thank you.
You've been presented with some false information. You need to know that. The LD 30 bylaws do state that this is prohibited. However, I have received confirmation from legal counsel that the Maricopa County bylaws supersede our LD bylaws. You may or may not be aware of what is going on politically here. It is crooked, it's dirty, it's dishonest, and it's disingenuous to the people of Arizona. The Republican Party, 1 year ago, took action against a party member, a politician, that was not working with the party. He thumbs his nose at the party at every chance. So the Republican Party, the overwhelming majority of our party, censured him. His retribution, rather than trying to align with us and do what's right and work with the party, he now has created a super PAC called Arizona Grassroots, which is stationed in Virginia. Tell me how a super PAC called Arizona Grassroots is in Virginia. It's the McCain machine. And they've raised $300,000 so far, more coming. Mrs. James' husband is a large contributor to that super PAC, the person you just heard from. And their objective is to punish the Republican Party for the censure of John McCain. This is wrong. Our bylaws do not preclude us from going out and recruiting precinct committeemen. I was the LD chairman of LD 30 until December 6, 2014, 1 month ago. But I was taken out of that leadership role because John McCain wanted vengeance. And I was one of the targets of that vengeance. This is wrong. We have First Amendment privileges in this nation to speak. And when there's corruption, we should be able to root it out and call it what it is, corruption. For them then to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars to punish the Republican Party is disingenuous to all the people of not only this state, but the people of this country. I did not come prepared to speak today because I did not know this was happening. I do know there was an effort to get this off of the agenda. And as you're aware, it was added back onto the agenda, rightfully so. This should happen. Is that a time?
No, you have 15 more seconds, but go ahead, proceed.
How much time do I have?
15 seconds.
I would, if they want to speak again, I ask to speak again because this is wrong that they're doing this dirty politics.
Mr. Schwartz,
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
your
it,
time.
and we believe in process here at the board, and we will make sure that's
But
done
we're
today.
not in violation of Maricopa County bylaws.
Thank you.
That is wrong what they're saying.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Osborne and Ms. Purcell if they don't mind coming to the front desk here and maybe providing some clarity. And if I might suggest that we're a governing board of the county. We are not bylaws experts for county politics or state politics as it relates to either party. We have a clear function as a Board of Supervisors, as I understand it. This issue has been contentious apparently the last 24 hours, and all of us are trying to quickly, as these issues come before us, Ms. Purcell and Ms. Osborne are trying to get our arms around it. So what I do not want to have happen this morning is to get in the middle of a political melee that really has no part of what we do as a county board. With that being said, we have a clear and defined role as set forth in statute. And what I want to make sure that I understand today, and I think my colleagues would agree, is what is our role as we understand it today, if that relates to having this remain on the agenda, what would postponing this do, if anything, as well as what is our complete authority should there have been some form of violation as these names came about. It's my understanding that we have no authority to, in any way, shape, or form, impact what or how these names came to us. And that's what I'm personally seeking as chair. I'm sure my colleagues, Mr. Konasik and others, have questions as well. But I would want to submit to you and everyone here today our clear role so there is no misunderstanding as to what our authority is or is not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You are correct. There is a process that we go through. We don't look at the bylaws of any of the political parties, but rather we look at the process that we have to go through. If names are submitted to us by the county chair, then we process those names and we send that to you for your approval. And that's exactly what has happened in this case. I will tell you that in the past we have had somewhat of a gentleman's agreement that between the time of the primary election when the precinct committeemen are elected and after the state meeting, which is the last organizational meeting, and that will be on the 24th of this month, there have been no precinct committeemen submitted to us. That doesn't mean, in our estimation, that there can't be. And in this case, they have been submitted to us. Our process is that we can't hold those up for any reason. We do not, as I said, we do not look at the bylaws of the particular parties. We have to look at statute, which tells us the process that we go through to verify those names that are submitted to us by a county chair and present those names to the board.
And Ms. Owens referenced the statute, but when I want to read 16-821B, it states that the Board of Supervisors, upon the recommendation of the county chairman or the recommendation of a committee designated in the bylaws of the county committee, for that purpose shall determine when a vacancy exists in the office or of precinct committeemen. If a vacancy exists, the vacancy shall be filled by the Board of Supervisors from a list of names submitted by the county chairman of the appropriate political party. Only a precinct committeeman elected at the primary election prior to the date of a state or county committee, to Ms. James' point of having both, organizing meeting shall be permitted to vote at such a meeting. The criteria used to establish when a vacancy exists in the office of precinct committeeman shall be established as in section 38-291. But as far as our role is concerned, I don't see us having any authority here to set this on a different course pertaining to bylaws that may have been fractured or not, violated or not. Mr. Barney?
Mr. Chairman, this is a family dispute of sorts. Feel a bit like our new chairman's Judge Judy here trying to resolve what's become kind of a contentious issue. And we've got passionate people on both sides of the issue. My read of the statute, Mr. Chairman, is similar to yours. And that's the majesty of laws. Sometimes they're not clear, and then the legislature amends or passes new laws. So because there was a gentleman's agreement, I thought that was funny to hear Helen and Karen, our two most powerful women at the county, is talking about a gentleman's agreement. But
We assume we are all that.
Well, you're certainly gentlemanly, but you're also very powerful and great women who we trust and come from different political parties, mind you. And I think that if this were a Democratic Party conversation, I think we would be handling it the very same way. I think our Democrat friends probably love it when the family fights, just like we love it when the Democrats fight. Yes, I hope this is great. We hope you're all enjoying it. But so, Judge Judy, my take on the statute, if I might just reiterate, gentlemen's or gentlewoman agreements aside, the Board of Supervisors, upon the recommendation of the county chairman, we don't have to go to the or. It's not either or, it's or, if you read the statute the right way. Now, there is a provision that allows a direction other than the county chairman, and that's if it's a duly appointed committee under the bylaws. But it doesn't preclude the chairman from doing that. And so to me, I actually feel like we've followed the statute. Now, I'm not picking sides here. I'm not trying to say I want this man or this woman to win or lose, but we've got an internal dispute that we're trying to vet and bring to bear specific provisions of the statute that I don't think apply. We're not going to, as a board, expand the statute because that's not in our jurisdiction. And so to me, the bigger issue is that they can't vote in the statutory meeting on Saturday for Maricopa County, and they can't vote per the statute in the state meeting. So we're talking about some internal LD politics here that need to be resolved at the LD level, and we'll call upon county leadership for the Republican Party, and we'll call upon state Republican Party leadership to help us resolve those issues. But don't push it on us to solve this familial dispute in a way, in my mind, to both sides that's outside the statute. Now, one last thought, Mr. Chairman. As we pass the baton today, there was nothing sinister about moving this agenda item off the agenda in an attempt to get to our reception quicker and moving it back to delay our arrival at the set. There was none of that. It was purely a ministerial action that was in an effort in response to a request from elections when asked, is it time sensitive? No, came off the agenda. Then there was a request to put it back on the agenda. The statute requires that we put it on the agenda of the first available meeting if it is given to us by the chairman or a duly authorized or organized committee of the party. We've received it from one of those portals. So in my mind, I think we have our marching orders. I'm not trying to pick sides here. I think it's the reality of the circumstance that we're in.
Thank you, Supervisor Barney. Supervisor Konasik?
I think Helen's
Answered your
probably
question.
has some, I want to reserve a little bit of time to, after I hear from everybody, and I don't know if, I know Michelle has taken a look at the statute as well, and I trust the legal analysis of Supervisor Barney.
Trust Michelle.
Michelle's probably not our elections attorney. She's our open meeting law attorney, but I think she's had a minute to look at it. But I'd like to hear from Helen, and you know, and I do. I think it's unfortunate we have these this kind of, it seems like dissension, and with all due respect to my dear friends in the Democrat side of the aisle, I think, you know, from my perspective, it's this kind of just lack of cohesiveness of any sort that you wind up with, you know, with our dear community organizer in chief that's going to grace our great state with his arrival today. So, Helen, before I get too political in my and upset everybody.
Well, let's go look at the reason, what the statute says and the reason for it. The statute says that those people who are elected at the primary election as precinct committeemen cannot vote in, or if they are not elected then, cannot vote in any organizational meeting. We have 2 organizational meetings coming up for both parties, the county meetings and the state meetings, and they can't vote at those. It doesn't say anything about any other vote that they might have or might not have. But we assume that, and that is backed by a Attorney General's opinion back in 1985 by Bob Corbin that said this is the purpose of those precinct committeemen and how they can function in those organizational meetings.
Ms. Purcell, I read something late last night that spoke to what Supervisor Barney mentioned, and that had to do with the meeting posting requirement associated with what your call is. You certified, if that's the correct terminology, what is given to you. Once that is certified, as I understand, it needs to go on to the next agenda at your request. And that's what's taken place, correct, thus far?
We verify that the people that they have submitted their names are in the proper precinct and belong to the proper party.
Right. And before I turn to our counsel, Michelle, I just want to make sure Ms. Osborne has nothing to add.
I'm just back here shaking my head, yes, sir.
Thank you.
And welcome, congratulations, and aren't you glad you
At least there's no contention in my first meeting. I'm really excited about that.
Not
And it's
at
a
all.
beautiful red blazer you have on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. No, Helen is perfectly correct. We get these from the county party. We look to see, are they registered in the party, in the precinct, at that address? We pass those then along. If there's any problem, we get back with the political party, either of them, and Libertarian as well. And we come up with that list that we pass to the clerk's office for put on your agenda. We are monthly on your agenda. There is always, always, always a part of that agenda for the precinct committeemen. We don't ask behind that veil of what happens at the political parties. We take it on truth. This is what has happened. This is what they want done. The Board of Supervisors is the entity that puts this, that names the people to these positions. But Helen's absolutely correct that they can't vote on Saturday. They can't vote on the 24th. I don't know how internally that will work, but our portion is statutory. We've done our part, we've given it to you, and now you have to at some point, make your decision.
And we are not governed by any bylaws of any of the parties.
Correct. Counsel, do you have anything to add?
Really don't. The statute's very clear. If you receive the recommendation from either the county chairman or the recommendation of a committee designated by the laws, either of those recommendations would be something upon which you would act.
Mr. Barney?
Mr. Chair, yeah, they carry equal weight, so it can come through either portal, if you will. I don't want to semantics aside. I don't want to correct Ms. Osborne, but we don't select. We authorize the appointment of through one of those two portals. So I think, again, there's some LD issues at play. But one thing that we don't have time to discuss today, but we're not the bylaws police, as I understand it. I think that the onus is upon the organization, political or otherwise, to follow those conditions. And if there's a dispute, that's what they resolve internally. We follow the statutory process. And I think that's kind of where we're being asked to vet certain provisions of the bylaws. And unfortunately, it appears that some may feel they lost and they won. That's not the intention. I think our process is to follow with exactness the law is set forth in the statutes.
Terrific. If I might have Ms. Purcell and Ms. Osborne just on standby for a few moments, and we will be wrapping up this conversation very quickly. I certainly want to give it I want to give it its due, but I understand we have one other gentleman that may want to speak, and then we will bring this to a conclusion. Can you state your name, sir?
I can. My name is Kory Langhofer, and I'm an elections attorney here in town. I apologize for not wearing a suit. When I left my house this morning, I didn't think I'd be standing in front of you. I wanted to speak on the legal issues surrounding the agenda item for a couple of moments. And before I get to the law, though, I'd like to provide some context. I have, over the last couple of years of my practice, been involved in a number of disputes against the Maricopa County Republican Party. I'm myself a Republican. I worked for Governor Mitt Romney on his presidential campaign. The overwhelming majority of my clients are Republican. But I've been involved in some legal disputes against the county party over the last couple of years. In the last 3 election cycles, the county party has had a pattern of meddling in the LD level elections, trying to manipulate who wins and who loses chairman seats in the various LDs. We represented some clients in one lawsuit about that, and we've certainly sent a number of demand letters in this election cycle about that. What seems to be going on here is an attempt to pack Legislative District 30 with new precinct committeemen so that the county chairman can overturn the results of a duly held election in LD 30 and replace the chairman there. This is part of this 3 election cycle pattern where the county chair is interfering with LD level elections. Now, I think it's important to understand that the vote you're going to be taking today doesn't happen in a vacuum. This is part of this sort of ongoing inter-party feud, I think, as you've called it before. Now, I think someone's already spoken to the statutory issue about whether the nominations have to come from the county chairman or a committee designated by the bylaws. That's already been discussed extensively, and I don't want to sort of retread that ground. But I do want to say this. On Saturday, there's going to be an election at the county party. There will be a new chairman. There's no need for this board to inject itself into that dispute. After Saturday, there will be a new chairman. The chairman can sort of settle this in-house. There's no need for what's essentially an inter-party issue to come before this board and be decided today. If you put this off for even 1 week, the problem goes away and the board will not soil itself with what really is an ongoing 3-year problem of the county chairman interfering with LD elections. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
I want to know, is this why Lee Miller left as the counsel of the party to greener pastures, so you didn't? I don't know, Mr. Chairman, and I'm hesitant to get too far into the party issues, but as an elected precinct committeeman, I do appreciate, the efforts everybody goes through to put their names on the ballot, to qualify, to get in there. And I do have harbor a little bit of resentment for those that might try and, because they didn't like the outcome or didn't go their way, use efforts to overcome it through technicalities or abilities to gain an advantage in this matter. And I think most of these precincts I recognize the name of are in my district too. It's unfortunate people just didn't didn't go get the 4 signatures or whatever it would take to duly qualify for the ballot. But that said, I even though he's not my lawyer, Mr. Barney, I trust his legal counsel.
I'm not anybody's lawyer. Though admitted
You're
to
a
practice
fine
law.
lawyer, though. And I didn't have time to consult my lawyer at home on this before I came to work. I did get a tie on. So I don't, Mr. Chairman, I think as uncomfortable as this is in your first meeting as chairman, you're doing a fine job so far. I just, I don't know. I know they won't be able to vote at the organizing meeting this weekend. I suspect, the effort is to truly roll over, bowl over, whether John McCain's behind it or not. I think he's got First Amendment rights to participate as well, and I've had more than my share of differences with our fine senator in the past. But I think it's very unfortunate this falls to us when I think, as former Chairman Barney points out, we have a very narrow window of duty here, and I fear that whatever we do, we're going to perhaps allow something that I think is unfair to occur. It will happen. It won't happen this weekend. I assume it will happen, but I think our hands are tied, it seems, and this is truly just a ministerial duty that we're obligated to carry out. So I don't know. That didn't answer anybody's question. This is frustration, and I might invite my good friends on the Democrat side to, it is somewhat cathartic to air these issues. I don't know what kind of star chamber you resolve these issues in, but.
Are there any more questions for Kory?
I don't. Mr. Chairman, I know we put a time limit up on Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Langhofer as well. I don't know if, normally we have those up there in public comments. That I don't know if the time limits apply. I know we want to get over to the reception to honor your appointment, but I do think that I would like them to have a minute to each of them to wrap it up, or I don't know what kind of limits you put on it, but this is not just public comment. This is something that's publicly noticed for hearing, and I think more than the 2 minutes is certainly advisable.
Well, this has certainly been the issue du jour the past 24 hours. So I don't think 3 more minutes would do any harm, but I also want to make sure we state for the record, we're giving this the time that we should, not by choice, but because of what's come about in the last 24 hours. I do not want to take our ministerial role here and mistake to anyone why we're taking the time to do what we are doing and give it more of attention than this deserves. I do disagree with you, Kory, that we are injecting ourselves. We are not injecting ourselves into anything. You and others on both sides of this issue are bringing this before us as an issue. So let's make sure we point that out and we identify it. But I will give 3 more minutes and then we will wrap this up and we will take a vote. So who wants to go first? Ms. Owens, and then we will follow with Mr. Schwartz, and then we will close with Ms. James.
Thank you. And having served on a school board, I can tell you nothing fills the seats more than the cheer coach and the football, or the cheer coach and the football coach. So I get it. But may I just remind you that contrary to what you may have heard, the Maricopa County Republican Committee bylaws strictly state that no appointments will be made from the date of the primary until after the state organizational meeting. I would respectfully request that you respect that you respect the vote of the majority of precinct committeemen in the county of Maricopa who have repeatedly, year after year, upheld the standard that no appointments will be made between the primary election and the state meeting. There will be no harm in delaying this until after the state meeting. It's a little over 2 weeks away. Anything that can happen in LD 30 can certainly happen after that. But I would just request, as a precinct committeeman, as I know some of you are too, respect the will of the voters within the MCRC who have said no appointments will be made during that period of time. This weekend, Mr. LaFaro had an article in the paper where he ranted about the need to adhere to the bylaws and mentioned the censure of Senator McCain as having violated the bylaws. He himself has brought precinct committeemen up for censure because they, in his words, violated the bylaws by endorsing a school board candidate in a nonpartisan election. He is violating the bylaws by presenting this to you today. I understand you're not injecting yourself into anything. You're doing what you should do. It's a perfunctory action, and I get it. But the point being, I'm asking for you to respect the role of the party, to respect the role of the precinct committeemen, the thousands of precinct committeemen who voted for that to be in the bylaws, and ignore the actions of one rogue leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owens.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. I'm offended that somehow it's being portrayed like we have done something wrong in putting forth these precinct committeeman appointments. Let me tell you, fill in the blanks for those of you that don't understand what's going on. Senator McCain has filled precinct committeeman appointments, blindsided all of us that are fearful, respecting Republicans in the party by going out and recruiting numbers of new PCs to take down those that stand for liberty and freedom. Mr. Kory Langhofer, who is here, is an attorney working in that effort, and he goes, it's been his duty to go to all of the LD meetings. He's come to my LD meetings on more than one occasion and made dubious threats about us having our freedom and telling us we have to have open meeting laws and da-da-da-da-da. It's a long story. But what's really going on is they put forth new precinct committee appointments to try to take us out of power. We simply returning fire. That is our right, to return fire when fired upon. We've done nothing illegal, nothing disingenuous. These were made while I was the chairman. We've got people in our LD that work tons of hours contacting hundreds of voters to make these precinct committee appointments. We've got a huge investment of time doing it the right way under my leadership as the LD chairman and under the county chairman, A.J. LaFaro, signing off on those PC appointments. They want to delay this so that A.J. LaFaro is not the county chairman 2 weeks from now, and then they will be able to have their way. This is not right. We did it legally. We did it fair and honest. We only returned fire when fired upon. It was self-defense. We have the right to fill those precinct committee appointments, and I'm begging you to please fill them. Look, LD 30 is a small piece of the pie in all of Maricopa County. We're a Democrat-controlled district. We're not a huge Republican district. But we did this fair and legal, and we did it because they did it to us first. I am offended that they would say we've done something that is not up to standards. That's not true. What you've been presented with were PCs that are approved, spent tons of hours, weeks of time, and contacted hundreds of voters to get this list together. They deserve to be appointed. They're people that want to serve. They're allowed to serve. It's up to you to verify that they're okay. There's no need to put this off so that you can fulfill their plan. As I stated, Mr. Langhofer is the attorney going to all of the LD meetings to control this machine that's bought off with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
We hear you loud and clear. If you want to wrap up, we're going to let Ms. James close. Do I hear a wrap up? We're good. Okay, Ms. James.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful. And yes, I'm passionate, but this is wrong. We need to fix it.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and I'm sorry that this has to be on your first day.
You guys have scared my little boys. They had to leave.
Well, speaking of children, I was most surprised to hear that my husband's funding this effort since we have a lot of kids to put through college still, so this is news to me. I would like to urge you again to respect the bylaws. I know many of you are elected precinct committeemen, and you are, by doing so, violating your own bylaws if you choose to go forward with this. I understand that the bylaws are not part of your specific role, but again, we're just asking that this have the opportunity to be done appropriately. There is no harm in delaying this. These people can still submit. And with all due respect, I would say that the folks that recruited people in LD 30 to put their name on the ballot did it the appropriate way and the right way, and those people were duly elected in a primary ballot. And to say that you're now doing this the correct way and you're doing this because you were fired upon is weak at best. It speaks of, junior high and middle school tactics. So what I would like to say is that people did this the right way. They put their names on their ballot. They then had an election, and this is simply an effort to undermine an election that was duly held and should be honored. And I would suggest and urge and remind you that you have a letter also from the current district chairman saying that he is asking you, with all due respect, to please delay this and let the proper procedure take place. So I appreciate your consideration. I appreciate that you've been put in an unfortunate situation due to a perfunctory role, but it does matter, and elections have consequences, and we're seeing that at this moment. So thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to bring this to a close, but I do want to say a few things. First and foremost,
Mr. Chairman, may I make one point?
Okay.
Thank you for your indulgence. First, when I said earlier that the board would be injecting itself into the problem, I probably worded that wrongly. I took from your comments earlier that I'm sort of casting blame on the board. That wasn't my intention at all. The point I meant to be drawing was this. In addition to the statutory issue of who may nominate, the chairman or a committee appointed by the chairman, there's the requirement that nominations don't happen before the organizational meeting, that the LD chairman sign off on it as well. On those points, no one's really making an argument that the nominations have been proper. That is not, it's not the board's problem, so to speak. It's not your bylaws. But by holding a vote today, instead of in a week from now when the entire county party can revisit this issue and say, do we want to withdraw these nominations, or are we comfortable with the process we followed to have those nominations made? The board's vote, the timing of the board's vote would facilitate. What no one is arguing is a legal nomination process, legal from the internal party perspective, not from the county's perspective. And so the request would be not that the board doesn't carry out its ministerial function, but that it wait a week so that the county can sort of tend to its own affairs. You have an ministerial role, but it doesn't need to happen today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I understand that. And what I want to make sure that everyone understands as we sit up here on the dais is that Maricopa County is bigger than the five of us. Maricopa County includes our elections department. Maricopa County includes Ms. Purcell and the county recorder's department. And we respect both sides in this situation. But what we won't do, and what this new board has worked hard the past 24 months in accomplishing, is a new day in Maricopa County. And by choosing to postpone this, we're choosing which statutes we want to adhere to and which statutes we don't want to adhere to. And that is not the role of a county board of supervisors. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed we're at this point today. I'm disappointed in my own party that we were not able to bring this about in the right way if bylaws, in fact, were violated. Bylaws have no bearing on the county board of supervisors. Bylaws have everything to do with each respective party. That being said, Helen Purcell and Ms. Osborne did what they were supposed to do. If there were concerns at that time, it should have been brought up long ago, not in the 11th hour to us. And if they were, I can't speak to that. That's something you'll have to take up elsewhere. But what we're supposed to do today is follow statute. And that's what we have to do. And so I appreciate hearing both sides, but as a supervisor, as the chairman, I believe we have to follow the law. Regardless if we agree with the outcome or how it happened or how it didn't happen, that is my position. So I will open up the floor for a motion.
Mr. Chair, we're going to have to get Mr. Geyer some popcorn if we don't bring this to a successful conclusion.
I think he already has
I
it.
can see the smile on your face. With that, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the appointment and cancellation of appointment of precinct committeemen as presented in the agenda item A-1.
Is there a second?
I'd like to second with just a comment. What a lot of people, and we take it very serious. So a lot of people, when we're elected, yes, we come out of a party system, and the party is extremely important to all of us up here. We work within it. All of us are PCs. I think we're all probably state committeemen as well. But when something like this comes up, we also have to remember that we represent our entire region. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, everything. So what we roll back to is what's our statutory authority and how we can work within that statutory authority. It happens countless times. So with that, that's where I'm coming from. I'd like to second the motion.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I feel like I should abstain from the family fight. I will vote aye.
With that, I hear no opposition. The motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, my yes vote was based on my understanding of the law and our role in this process. I'm still got a bad taste in my mouth as somebody that did go and qualify for the ballot. I think this is going to lead to probably an upending of the people's will, but that's the rule of law, and I guess that forces everybody to work harder from whatever perspective they're coming from in the future, and that probably makes us better to have that debate. And I think, anyway, I don't know.
Thank
I'll
you.
probably wind up in some narrative. I see a Scrivener in the back room there that I better just shut up.
We better hurry or Grant and Will are going to eat all the food.
Thank you. Okay, we will now recess as the Board of Supervisors and convene as the Flood Control District Board of Directors. The board will now consider items F1 through F4 pertaining to an easement right-of-way, 2016 budgeting and for results, guidelines, and priorities,